What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Loading Up Podcast. I'm your host, Producer Jay. I'm here with my co-host, Brother Zay.
Hey, what's going on?
And I would say Brother Tay, but he had some computer issues that prevented him from being able to join us tonight, but hopefully he gets that fixed soon. How you doing, Zay? I see. I keep getting mixed up with Zay, Jay, Tay.
You have to like calm yourself there. You like get the name right.
Yeah, it also doesn't help that I'm like exhausted. I'm drinking coffee as we speak, so hopefully I liven up as we go.
We got this. Now I'm doing pretty good. You know, playing games, trying to finish more games, and in between, you know, all these games that are coming out and my backlog. But it's been fun last week since I've been playing Wild Hearts, XDefiant. I'm trying to finish Little Nightmares 2. So it's a journey.
Yes, it is, and it's not gonna stop because apparently, you know, it's crazy. I saw like a breakdown of what games are gonna be coming out in March. Yeah. I had no idea that Resident Evil 4 was coming out in March. I thought that was in April.
I mean, either way, it's so close together with all the games that are coming out this year. It's like the backlog we're gonna have is even greater because 2022 had so many game delays. Yeah, 2023 is just piling on.
And I feel like the last time this happened, it was like, what was it, like 2000? I think it was like 2010. I feel like there was a bunch of games that released like in the first half of the year, and I don't understand why developers are so, or publishers for that matter, are so afraid of releasing games in the summer. Like they do not want to be part of that 3-month period for whatever reason.
I think mostly because like a lot of people are on vacation, they're not home. You know, that's the old way of thinking. You know, that people are on vacation. Well, we don't have to think that way anymore with xCloud and cloud gaming. Like, you can literally play games on your phone, on a tablet.
And with the Steam Deck, you can play PC games on the go.
Yep, absolutely. The Switch is on the go. So, like, there's so many options to game on the go. They have to get rid of the fear of releasing during the summer.
Yeah, and I always thought, like, wouldn't it be more beneficial to release during the summer? Because that's when kids are out of school, most likely playing more games. Like, yeah, you get the idea that, they're going to be outside or whatever. But it gets hot. Like, it gets 90 degrees. I'm going to be wanting inside sometimes.
Get that AC in the game.
Exactly. So, but yeah, it's gonna be a lot. We mentioned this in the chat. I haven't officially announced it. But I do plan on live streaming very soon.
Ooh, yes.
It's
official.
It's official now. I've been thinking about it for a long time. I just needed to set everything up, and literally I've been tinkering with settings and different display where, like, I set it up pretty much, and I got it to where I feel good about it. So I'll let everybody listening, know when I'm going to do it before I do it, obviously. It's not going to be, it'll be soon. I'll let you know. But yes, awesome. That's coming in the future.
Awesome. You'll be on the PC, right?
Well, I'll be playing everything because I can play on console, streaming because I got my capture card. I got the new one actually. So it's made for streaming, so that way I can see what I'm doing on, because I have 2 monitors now. I can see what I'm doing, and then the reaction is like, it's like super instantaneous. Like, it's not a delay like it was before with my old one, because before I'd press A and then in like 3 seconds later it would do it. I was like, nah, I can't do that.
No, that's terrible.
Yeah, so now I got it so that way there's very little lag.
That's great. Looking forward to, you know, expanding on the loading up endeavor that we have going.
Yes. So what games have you been playing? You mentioned Wild Hearts.
Yes. So I'm granted, it's just a 10-hour trial with Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, but I still have like 8 hours left. No,
Damn.
sorry, 7 hours left. So I've done so far 3 hours of just hunting these monsters in this new world, and I just have to say it's good. It's good. And
How does it compare to Monster Hunter? Because that's what
and
I've been seeing all over the place.
of course, because it's Monster Hunter's like, dare I say, it is the combat is better than Monster Hunter's 100%.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. I'll say it here. I'm enjoying the combat a lot. Even the little building aspects that you do, and the traversal in Wild Hearts, it's really good. It definitely used some polish, and now with this saying, nobody's saying that it's going to replace Monster Hunters. Monster Hunters is very rich, has a long history, has some super diehard fans. It's not replacing Monster Hunters, but I think it does aspects that Monster Hunters and Wild Hearts does. I think it does it better.
It's more
And
polished. Like, well, I don't want to say polished. It's more like westernized. So I feel like, based on what I've seen, that is, if it looks more like catered to the Western audience, whereas Monster Hunter is like, that's East, like Japanese audience.
I
That
mean,
just so happens to cross over to here for people who like it.
I mean, yeah, I could see that. I mean, God, I put a lot of hours into Monster Hunter World. We put at least a good whole year into it, playing it. We got to the point, me and my buddies, where it was just like, we would go and fight like the biggest, baddest monster, Diablo, and we would destroy him like in no time at all. It was ridiculous. And we were like, all right, we're done with this. So, it's I put a lot of hours into the Monster Hunters.
Yeah.
And then to switch over to Wild Hearts to see what they bring to the table. I like what they're doing. I like the combat. I like what they brought to the table with the building and the traversal of the maps. I think it has really good potential, and it can use a little more polishing. Although I am just doing the trial version, I'm actually considering buying it this week. I think it can use a little bit more polishing, but from what I played of it, I'm really enjoying it.
Now, here's the big question.
Go ahead.
Does it have a lock-on feature?
It does.
Yo, you sold me on it. You sold me on it.
It does. You can lock on to your monster that you're fighting and do it. It's real easy too. They make it very easy.
Okay.
It seems complicated when you're like in the middle of a battle. So like the left side of the controller is like what you're using to build or run or stuff, and then the right side of the controller you use all of your attacks and your jumping and stuff. And that's the thing. I came in from Monster Hunters. You can't really jump in Monster Hunters unless you like off a cliff or if you have a certain weapon. This one you can just jump everywhere, and you can build little crates, jump on the crates, and just do some special move on top of the monster. And I feel like the hits when you're hitting in Wild Hearts really affect the monster. You can really see, like, you'll know when they're getting pissed and when they're about to die. It's fun. I've had a lot of fun playing it.
That's good. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
So, look, maybe I'll check it out. Cause you told me about it. Cause originally, cause gameplay as you see is Atomic Heart. Is it Atomic Heart or Atomic Hearts? Atomic Heart, right?
Atomic Heart.
Singular. Originally, you told me to record Wild Hearts. Hey, so all these hearts. What the heck? So, the strangest series. That I saw somebody on Twitter. He posted a thing like, I can't follow this series. It said Atomic Heart, Wild Hearts, Kingdom Hearts, because they're all hearts. Yeah, I was gonna record Wild Hearts, but then I decided to take a trip to New Zealand and play some Atomic Heart first.
The good old new trip to New Zealand. I love it.
You gotta do it. But yeah, so I mean, since we're already on it, I played a little bit of it, as you can see. So what I'll say is that it has the potential to be something great, but it just misses the mark. Like I don't know what it is. Maybe it's like the audio design or the dialogue. I feel like it doesn't feel like there. I don't know how else to explain it. It's like right there, like you can feel, like you can see it, like the visually, it's just like it's crazy, like it looks amazing, but just in the execution when you're actually playing the game and like the audio, like it gets cut off sometimes. Like it reminds me of, you ever played the first Sonic Adventure game?
Yeah.
So you know how sometimes when somebody will be talking and then the other person will just talk over them and they'll get cut off?
Yeah.
That happens sometimes in this game, and it's like it throws you off because like they'll be in the middle of a conversation and then somebody will just butt in and just start talking over you. And it's like, wait, hold on, the first conversation didn't finish. Relax, wait your turn. But yeah, just stuff like that. And then the combat feels really good, although granted it's still in the beginning, it feels a little clunky, but I'm assuming that's just because I haven't gotten used to it and I haven't really unlocked more weapons, so hopefully that changes like later on as you play through. But it definitely feels like it was on a little bit of a budget, so you see a lot of the imperfections, and I feel like that might deter a lot of people from it. But I feel like that's one of the benefits of Game Pass, is that you don't have to worry about like, oh, I just spent $60, $70 on this game and it's not living up to the hype. Like, no, like it's on Game Pass. You try it out. If you don't like it, that's it. Like, but if you do, you got it. You can play through it. So I'm gonna give it more of a chance because I don't want to judge it too soon. But based on what I played, it seems like it could be really fun, like in the long run. But just those little imperfections stick out to me. I just need to point that out.
That's understandable. So I don't know if you know about the controversy behind this game.
Oh, yeah.
Online.
That is a whole bunch of...
Yeah, so like it was made by a Russian team, so people were like, you know, you're funding Russia's war against Ukraine. It means you don't support Ukraine. So there's actually people out there blocking anybody and blocking everybody who plays the game or labeling them as terrorists. It's a little...
It's literally the Hogwarts Legacy thing all over again.
Yeah, it really is. But I want to say, like, yes, it is made by a team from Russia, but I think a lot of the imperfections may come from the fact that mid-development they had to up and leave Russia so that they can continue working on the game and or be safe in their, you know, political environment that they have over there.
Right.
So they literally upended their whole, you know, studio, left Russia, and left their families behind.
Yeah.
In Russia, so that they can continue working on this game. So playing this game does not in any way support the Russian government and their war in Ukraine at all. If anything, it's a testament to the Russian people who are standing up and against Russia's government.
Yeah, you know? And if you play the game even in just like the first part, like you see a lot of like it's meant to like be like kind of like Russian propaganda or whatever, but they paint it in a way that it's like very arrogant, very obvious that they're the bad guys.
Yeah.
So, and it's actually a wonder that they were able to even make this game while being in Russia, knowing that whole situation.
That's exactly why they had to up and leave, you know?
Yeah, because it's a lot of like painting Russia in a negative light. So,
yeah. I mean, I tell people, try a game for yourself. If you don't like it, that's fine. But don't sit here and prejudge something based off of where people are from, because ultimately, not everybody who is born or lives in Russia agrees with the governments of that said country. Same could be said for anybody in any country.
Right.
You know, they gotta just, you know, take it easy a bit. You know, people are a little too hype with their political agendas online.
Yeah, it's like they just want something to get outraged over. I feel like that's the era we're in. Outrage culture, people just finding stuff to get upset over.
Yeah.
It gets annoying and tiring. Trying to keep up with all of it.
Speaking of games that either haven't come out yet or we're just trying out for the first time. I played a little bit of XDefiant this weekend because they had a alpha test. And
what are your thoughts? I don't know how much you can say about it because
no, we actually they even tell you when you load up the game, you cannot capture the game, but you are freely able to talk about it in
okay.
any form. You can talk about it, write about it. You just can't take videos of it.
Okay. I was wondering because I know because I signed up for it, I was busy this weekend. Just a heads up behind the scenes. We're recording this on Monday. So normally we record on Saturday or Sunday. So this weekend was just very busy for me. Or for us, because we couldn't come up with a good time to record. But I signed up for it and I had to sign an NDA. So I was like, oh, that's like kind of serious.
Yeah, I mean, Ubisoft takes their NDAs a little bit serious.
Yeah.
But they do say that you can talk about it. So I want to talk a little bit about XDefiant because as an arcade shooter, I think it did really well.
So what's the premise of it? Like how is it framed? I know the last time I heard about it, a lot of people were kind of getting upset over it just because specifically for the whole third echelon portion because they felt like Splinter Cell should have like been more than just like a class in a game.
Well, yeah, I mean, those are like the hardcore Splinter Cell fans who want things to come. They want a Splinter Cell game. I get that, but this takes all the sort of like protagonists and villain classes, so to speak, from all of Ubisoft games. So you have like people from Far Cry 6. You have Rainbow Six. You have you have a bunch of different Ubisoft franchises playing as shooters. So if a Ubisoft
from like the
franchise
Division
came out,
too.
yeah, exactly. If they came out with a shooter, they have a class in here.
Okay.
So you got like the Libertad from Far Cry 6 in here. You can pick them and play as them. And then those are just like the character models. But what they did really well was they did really good gunplay. So the guns felt and shot very nice. Everything felt balanced. If you were shooting SMG, it felt like SMG. If you were shooting a sniper, you felt like a sniper. Like one shot, were like either killing them or taking all their health, depending on where you hit them. It felt good. It felt really good. It was very fast paced. It was very, on point. Like it's just an arcade shooter. And no way do I think that this game will sort of dethrone Call of Duty at all. But for what it was, being an arcade shooter, coming from the very first alpha test, because I know people who played the very first alpha test, it's improved significantly and it's going in the right direction. So despite this weekend's woes with the alpha test, because there were some crashing and we weren't able to invite people to get together to play. I mean, it's just an alpha, so I can't be too mad. But I think the direction that they're going is good. And I can't wait to see sort of a beta and or a final product because it will be a game that I would like to play more of.
That's always good to hear, especially from Ubisoft. I mean, just a few weeks ago, we were talking about how it just seems like they don't know what to do anymore. Like they're just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. So it's good to see that they have something potentially with XDefiant, and maybe this could probably end their woes of trying to find that live service game to keep them afloat.
Yeah, I mean, Ubisoft definitely needs a win.
They
Absolutely.
do.
Because I don't want to see a major publishing like Ubisoft go down. They need a win here, and I think XDefiant is moving in that direction. But I will say, like, I took a sort of like a survey on how the game went, and they kept asking a lot of questions on Call of Duty.
Really?
Yeah. So it's like I just that's why I wanted to preface this like it's an arcade shooter. It's not gonna come close or dethrone Call of Duty at all. So it should not focus on trying to compete with Call of Duty and just try and do, what's good for an arcade shooter. and I think it could go well if they focus on just that. Whereas if they focus trying to take on Call of Duty, they will fail.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think what's gonna make or break this game is the whole live service aspect, because I mean, Halo Infinite is a perfect example of how you can have a perfect core gameplay, but if you don't nail the live service aspect, it's gonna fail. So
Yeah.
I think they need to focus on fine-tuning that aspect of the game, so that way it's not super, like, I don't want to say predatory, but like grindy or
No, you
all
had it
that
right.
type of stuff.
Predatory.
Is it predatory? Okay, sure. Then
I
it's
would say
predatory.
so. I don't like live service games that do that. You know, Destiny, Halo, all these live service games that are, like, they come out with battle passes and seasons and new content, but you have to pay for this, and you have to. I don't like that. It is
Yeah.
predatory. You know, it is.
I don't find the idea of a battle pass like inherently wrong. It's just if they go about it the wrong way, like Call of Duty. I mean, we did like an episode on this, like I think it was like the second episode, where we talk about battle passes. I feel like
Yeah.
Call of Duty's battle pass is very, very like predatory,
Yeah.
whereas there's other ones that are kind of okay. Like there's good examples of battle pass. I feel like there is a good path to take with this, and I just hope Ubisoft doesn't get a big head when they finally have something nice and they ruin it, because I feel like that's what happened with was it The Division? I don't remember if The Division had, like, I don't think it had a battle pass or anything, but it was like the content, like they didn't supply it with enough content post launch, and it ultimately failed.
Yeah, the Division 2 specifically, like, it was a good game, but I think that they failed in bringing out content. They delayed some of the content, so
Yeah.
and by the time it came out, I was done with the game. We moved on to other games.
Right. And it's crazy because I really enjoyed the first one. I thought the first one was amazing.
I know.
But
Division 2, I spent a lot of time in Division 2 as well.
yeah.
You know?
I played a little bit of it. The second one. The first one I played a lot of it. Like that one mostly because it was like the recreation of New York. So, you know, I always like that in games. I get to see if I can go to places that I actually know that I've been to.
Yeah. We did that a lot. We actually did that when Division 2 came out with their New York City DLC.
Oh, they added a New York DLC?
Oh, yeah. They added a DLC for New York, and you get to go back, and it was pretty cool because it wasn't that long of a DLC, but I think it was take place like in Manhattan and Brooklyn, and you got to see a lot of stuff. It was pretty cool.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we're gonna I guess we'll just go right into the news. You know, we got some news to cover. You know,
We do.
yeah. So we're gonna get right to some Sony news. You know, Sony Interactive Entertainment wants you to rent NFTs. They want players, the players and stream spectators, according to a recently published patent. The latest patent by Sony suggests that the company may introduce NFTs into the PlayStation ecosystem on both the PS4 and PS5 sometime in the near future. I don't know too much about NFTs. I think a lot of it is scams. So I don't understand why gaming companies want to try and get involved in NFTs. Crave. I think Crave is over. I don't know.
Yeah, it's okay. So I kind of been following the whole NFT stuff very loosely. I don't get into the weeds of it because there's a lot of, like you said, scams and stuff like that. I do not like the like NFTs. I feel like the idea of them, I can see why some developers might or publishers might want to get into it, because the idea is that you get something like an item in a game, or maybe just like an item associated with your account. And the idea, at least for gaming, is you can take that item with you in like different games, and you can show it off and stuff like that. So like I get that idea. It sounds cool on paper, but when you actually look at it, like you have to think, okay, you're basically asking developers to make specific items for your game, for their game, that can also be played in another game that they wouldn't necessarily buy in that first game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, why would they support that when that item can also be used in another game? Essentially supporting another game. It's like there's a lot of like weird gray area there that I feel like it just doesn't make sense. But it's funny, when I heard this news, I instantly, like, I called it, because you heard about the PlayStation Stars program or whatever,
Yeah, the reward thing?
the reward thing. So
Yeah.
they essentially have an NFT like system where you can earn certain stuff through purchases, and you can like display them or whatever. But it's not considered an NFT because you can't transfer it to anywhere. I feel like that whole system was supposed to be the NFT thing, but they decided to nix those plans because that was around the time when the whole scam like outrage happened, and people were just getting sour on NFTs. And especially, I think Phil Spencer himself was like, it can lead to a lot of predatory like actions from publishers and stuff like that. So he kind of denounced it. He says that there could be a future for it, but right now it's a little too early for that. So I think once that whole thing happened, PlayStation was just like, okay, never mind. We'll just give you these, and you can have them on your account. You can't do anything with them, but you can have it. It's fine. And then when this came out, I was like, I knew it. They couldn't help themselves. They just had to dip their toes into it. Just like, I think what Square Enix said that they were gonna get into NFTs.
Yeah,
Ubisoft said they were gonna end NFTs. Surprisingly, what was it? It was Stalker 2 of all games, so was gonna have NFTs, and like literally, they announced it, and then a week later they were like, nah, never mind.
Yeah, because of the outrage behind it, like really
Yeah.
art.
And it's just crazy because considering all that's going on with them, like you wouldn't think that they would try to do that. But granted, that was before the war. But still, it's not a good look to openly embrace NFTs in any shape or form.
I think mostly it's just trying to do like a quick cash grab, and that's what
That's
bothers
what it feels
me.
like. Yeah.
That's what bothers me. It feels like, oh, here's an NFT, pay us money. It's worth this much because we said so. And then, of course, some diehard fans will go out there and they'll pay for it. I just think it's predatory in that sense.
Yeah. I
They
still,
can market it as whatever they want.
outside of the gaming aspect of it, I still don't see the appeal in it. I don't see value in owning a GIF or a JPEG of something and just saying, oh, I own that, my name is on the blockchain. I don't see the value in that. Like, I can't do anything with that other than sell it to some other schmuck who wants to buy it. I don't know. It still is beyond me. I don't know how people can get into that. But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
Either way, we have things like AI art now.
Yeah.
And that's making a buzz because it could be potentially taking away from actual artists, like somebody just typing up and a computer making up what you want. So it's a double-edged sword when it comes to technology and art.
Right.
You got the side where you can buy an NFT, or I can just take a screenshot of it and say, hey, I own it too.
Right.
Or we got AI making art when there are actual people out there who use Photoshop to make art or actually draw on their computers some really fantastic stuff, and then AI art comes in and just completely destroys all their work.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's the wild west when it comes to this stuff. So hopefully it leads to like regulation, but let's not get into that whole aspect of it.
Please don't.
'Cause that's a whole nother can of worms.
Definitely. We'll continue right on with a little bit more Sony news, this time coming from metro.co.uk. They allow every other week a fan to submit a story, a full 500 to 600 word story, and then they publish it on on their news site as a credible source. This particular news organization is big in the sense that people listen to them. They're reputable. So for them to just allow any fan and the editors to be like, yeah, let's just put this out there, for this particular story is a little ridiculous, because the headline reads, Microsoft should sell its Xbox business to Sony PlayStation. And just the headline itself is ridiculous. And I've actually read through the whole article. The person writing this has zero knowledge of the gaming industry. She still thinks it's 2005, and it just doesn't make any sense business-wise for both Xbox and Sony, because even if Xbox were to sell to Sony, Sony doesn't have enough money. And I doubt if Xbox can't even buy ABK with all the regulatory systems coming after them, I highly doubt they'll allow Sony to buy all of Xbox. That would just be absolutely ridiculous. Nightmare. But
Yeah.
just the fact that this news organization allowed this crap to be published was just bad enough. I mean, she literally has absolutely no clue about Xbox. Clearly a PlayStation fan who's saying, oh, Xbox hasn't had games in a while, so they should just, sell. Like, they have no clue what's going on. And I thought it was just bad journalism, both on the website and the person who wrote it. Like, they did absolute zero like effort into this article. It was just atrocious.
Yeah, I mean, we have to just reiterate that this was a reader who submitted this. Like, it's that, I think that's the main takeaway, because honestly, when I first saw this, I thought it was an Onion article. I was like, there's no way this is real, this is fake. And then I saw the reader thing and I was like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's obviously somebody who just had I guess they felt like they needed to say something positive, or not positive, but like negative about Xbox. You know how they get. So it's like they took it upon themselves to, because I think what is it? It's Forbes or no, it's Bloomberg. They allow like guest articles, right?
Yeah, I mean, the Wall Street Journal, New York Times, they all do opinion.
Yeah, they all
pieces
do
as well,
that. So somebody wanted to get their name in the headlights, and they chose this path. But like you said, it's nonsensical. It makes no sense. Like, why? First of all, why would Microsoft would sooner just bow out than sell off their stuff to Sony, and it doesn't make sense. Like, all this over the merger. Like, even if the merger fails, Microsoft is not going anywhere. Like, Microsoft is just gonna reinvest that money elsewhere. Like, that's $70 billion. Like, that it's not like because they're gonna put, if it fails, if it falls through, they have to pay $3 billion to Activision, which compared to $7 billion is a drop in a bucket. And then they'll just reinvest the rest of it into other publishers or other studios or other stuff. So it's not like it's just Xbox is doomed if this deal fails. Like, no, like it's a big loss for them, no doubt about it, but they can easily bounce back. Like, that thing, this is kind of just like the icing on the cake. Like, I'm of the mindset, if it goes through, great. If it doesn't really change much. So it's honestly, it's just very short-sighted, this article, and I'm surprised we're even talking about it this long.
So just a little bit more Xbox news. They one of the biggest unions came out and said that they support, and they made it official, like, to the CMAs and everything. The global union is UNI Global Union. It has affiliated with over 150 different countries, representing 20 million workers. That they're in favor of the Microsoft merger, with Activision Blizzard's, and this is all before, because as we know, tomorrow the Microsoft is going to have that closed door meeting in the UK on the 21st. So the one of the biggest unions out there, representing 20 million workers, is behind a deal. It just makes sense for things to move forward for Microsoft and ABK, because you can't get much more praise. Not only was the biggest union people behind supporting this, also came out that Tencent and Embracer both supported the deal going through, which is big. They're the biggest Chinese publishers out there. So it's a lot of support for this deal to go through.
Yes. I mean, they have the benefit of having the backing of these unions, so that does help them. But it's a little frustrating because the regulators don't seem to want to talk about that side of things. Like, they're more focused on the whole Call of Duty thing, which is kind of silly if you think about it, because they're not just buying Call of Duty. They're buying Diablo. They're buying Overwatch. They're buying World of Warcraft. Like, you would think they would focus on the other ones, the other big games that are coming with this deal, but they're just focusing on Call of Duty. So it's a little bit ridiculous that they put so much emphasis on that. But regardless, that they are not looking at the potential good that this will bring, because let's be real, Activision has had their fair share of lawsuits and scandals regarding their treatment of their workers. Like, there was the whole thing, like, what was it, 2 years ago, that one of the employees killed themselves.
Yeah.
And the head, Bobby Kotick, he knew about it, and he didn't do anything about it. Didn't even compensate them, nothing. And it was over, like, harassment and stuff like that. So it's like there's a lot of shady shit going on, and I feel like under Microsoft they cannot play that shit. So they will clean house wherever it needs to, get rid of Bobby, and like really reform Activision. Because like one of Microsoft's kind of like mantras is that they like to have like a hands-off approach with stuff. That's what they're doing with Bethesda. So like Bethesda's its own thing. They kind of, they have some synergy, but they're mainly separate. Xbox Studios is Xbox Studios and Bethesda's Bethesda. That's why their showcases are Xbox and Bethesda. So I don't think they would do that with Activision. I feel like it would be the opposite. Like, they would have to be hands-on with it, because they even
at first, for sure.
At first, and until they get like to a good place, because even Phil Spencer, that was why the whole deal was shocking to begin with. Phil Spencer said he criticized Activision and said that they need to get their shit together, because it's a horrible, what's the word? I can't think of it right now, but it's like, it's crazy, and it's really bad look for them, and they would have to rethink their association with the company going forward. So yeah, it's
Microsoft's
very
answer to that was buying them.
Yeah, exactly. So like, y'all not gonna do nothing? All right, we will.
Yeah.
But yeah. So like, the fact that the unions are seeing that Microsoft could add that benefit to Activision's culture, negative culture, that's something worth noting. And it's annoying that the regulators don't even care about that.
Well, because just like in most of the media, the regulators themselves are biased and on Sony's side. They have this. The writing has been on the wall since they said that they were going to buy them. You had regulators out there on Twitter talking about, oh, we have to protect my PlayStation.
That was.
It's just, the bias is really ridiculous. And let's hope that despite all the bias, both on the media side and the regulator side, well, the lawyers at Microsoft will come down with the hammer, and things will start smoothing over. Because there were just rumors as well that Sony was offered 15-year deal contract for Call of Duty, and that they even turned that down. So,
okay. I do have to comment on that because I've seen that a lot as well. So it wasn't actually 15 years. So what happened was is it was kind of like a mistranslation. Not a
Okay.
mistranslation, a misinterpretation. So in the document, it revealed that Microsoft, in addition to the 10 years that they offered that we know of, there was another 5-year deal prior that they offered. So it wasn't like 15 years. It was they offered 5 years and then they turned it down. And then they offered 10 years and then they turned it down.
I mean, honestly, at that point, it just did. I feel like they don't want to take any deal. They just
No,
don't want. They don't want
then
anybody to have Call of
they're
Duty.
not gonna take a deal. Even if they did offer a 15-year deal, they wouldn't take it. That's how petty they're being right now.
Yeah, because Call of Duty is their bread and butter on PlayStation. Without that, they would have just the exclusives, and that just doesn't fuel enough because it doesn't sell well enough.
Yeah,
compared to Call of Duty.
Compared to the amount of people who have a PlayStation, it doesn't sell nearly enough.
Absolutely, that's
Like,
the point.
It's crazy that like God of War, for example, that just came out. They just like touted that they sold 11 million copies. That's great. A lot of games don't even reach that. The fact that that pales in comparison to the amount Call of Duty sells on just PlayStation alone is telling, and that's why Sony doesn't want to lose it, which they won't. But
Yeah, they won't. They won't.
they don't care. They're playing the part.
Of course. Of course. Oh, jeez. That went down a rabbit hole, didn't we?
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Yeah, we can go on and on about ABK, huh?
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
It does. It does. But we'll get right into a little bit of more PlayStation news, and from toxic fans. As we know, the PSVR2 came out, and it's been being reviewed all over YouTube. You can go on YouTube and watch all these reviews. This prominent PlayStation YouTuber who got a PSVR2, he went out there, he reviewed it, he made a whole video on it, and he gave it a 3 out of 5. Said it's not great for what it is. It's good. The games and the wire really is what really holds it back. He just doesn't think the technology is fully there yet. And those were his honest opinions. And he got attacked for it simply because he was being honest. Now, mind you, this is a PlayStation-centric YouTuber. He's out here getting attacked by PlayStation diehard fans who, no matter what PlayStation does, they need greatness at every turn. So if you say anything bad to them on PlayStation, they're against you. They were attacking him in his comments. He had to shut off his comments. Even had to suspend his Twitter real quick because it was just getting out of hand. But he did come back, and he actually went on a couple more PlayStation-centric podcasts that was talking about it. So, ultimately, it just turns out like people just need to be a little nicer. This man's honest opinion on something. That doesn't necessarily mean that it has to go along what you think. It's just his opinion. If you like it, you like it. If you don't like it, you don't like what he says, just turn it off. There's no reason to attack a person because they have an honest opinion about something.
Yeah, and that's one thing like we all need to it's mainly those types of people need to realize that it's just an opinion. Like just because somebody disagrees with you on what you like and what you dislike, that doesn't mean that they're wrong or that you're wrong or that their opinion is bad. It's just an opinion. Like that's all it is. It does not affect anything. It does not affect your enjoyment of said product or your hype for said product. Like it doesn't change any. You can still be excited for PSVR2. You can still want to get it or have it ready to come. Like you don't have to listen to somebody if you don't agree with them. Like that's fine, but don't attack them for it.
Yeah,
it's not that serious, and especially it's like that, and that's what gets me upset about like this console war stuff. Like people are getting so like heated over video games. This is video games. It's not serious at all, and people are taking it to heart and sending like death threats and doxing people. It's insane. It's very insane. Do not do that stuff, please.
Yeah, definitely not. definitely not. Speaking of opinions on PSVR2, we're gonna jump right into this one because I got some opinions.
What's
um, I just found out, and this is because I was reading online about PSVR2, just going down a rabbit hole with that YouTuber and all the comments that he was getting, and I found out the PSVR2 is not backwards compatible, except for I think it's No Man's Sky.
there's a handful of games that got ported over, but that's not like backwards compatible. They're just ports.
No, those are just ports. Yeah, I'm talking about backwards compatible. So like, if you brought a game on your PlayStation VR, you cannot play it on your PSVR 2. You have to rebuy the game. You have to rebuy all your games. And I thought that was that was just shitty. That's the shittiest thing I've ever heard. Like, it's not like leaps and bounds better from PlayStation VR to PlayStation VR 2. Like, I don't think it's that much better to warrant me buying Beat Saber again. Like, you tell me I gotta buy it again? It's the same exact game.
Yeah.
You know, what's the difference here? I was very upset. I was like, that's bullshit. Like, I would not buy a game over again just because it's not on, my headset. Like, that's so dumb. I was so upset. I was really upset reading that. I was like, there's no way. And I just kept reading up, and I went down a rabbit hole on Reddit, and I was just getting more upset. I was like, you know what? I gotta stop. I gotta stop here because I'm getting pissed off. I don't even own a PSVR 2, and I'm getting pissed off. I'm like, well, damn it, why do I have to buy it again? I don't even buy any PSVR games.
Right?
It's getting me pissed.
So granted that there's a handful of games that are being ported over, and the developer or the publisher, whoever, they're being generous enough to give free, like, it's basically a free upgrade. So as long as you have the game, like, you can upgrade it for free, but they have to port it over, obviously, first.
Yeah, but porting over a game is not, it's like putting it in development again,
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Sony is essentially pushing that off to the developer, whereas they could have come up with a base level emulation software, kind of like how the Xbox did with 360 backwards compatibility. You couldn't play it. It was impossible at the time, but the Microsoft R&D came up with a base level emulation software that can take the 360 or the 360 game and translate it so that way it could run on the Xbox One and all the subsequent consoles. Yeah. There's no reason that Sony couldn't have done the same thing. They just didn't want to do it for whatever reason. They didn't want to submit or sink the money into it. They did the same thing with PlayStation 5. That's why when they first announced the PlayStation 5, nobody knew if it was going to have backwards compatibility, because it was just they didn't know. Sony was not talking about it. It wasn't until maybe 2 months out that they're like, oh yeah, we're going to do it. And honestly, I think it was because of all the backlash. And that's why when they announced it, they said, oh, it might have some hiccups, it might have some bugs or whatever. And eventually they ironed it out. But I do not think, especially after the comments that, Jim Ryan made, that he said, oh, we believe in generations. I had no doubt that they were going to launch that thing without backwards compatibility. And now they're doing the same thing with PSVR 2. The only difference is that it's a much lower install base, but that's actually kind of worse, because now it's going to do worse, because people are not going to want to buy all those games again. Even if the publisher offers free upgrades, not all their games are going to be upgradable. So it's why invest in a new platform and start all over, essentially? That's stupid. That's essentially product suicide. You're basically telling people, don't buy this because you're going to start from scratch. And honestly, that's why a lot of people kind of stick to their ecosystem. If PlayStation 5 didn't have backwards compatibility, a lot more people might have had the opportunity to jump over to Xbox, because one of the main reasons, at least for me, on why I stick with Xbox as my main platform is because all my games are there and I can take it with me. So, and same thing with PS4. PS4, you can take it with you to PS5. So there's no point in changing. But if you take that off, you're basically saying, oh, you don't need to buy this. You can get whatever. That might cause people to get a Oculus. It's not Oculus anymore. It's Meta Rift or
Yeah.
whatever. Or
The
other one, the
HTC.
HTC Vive, or
Yeah.
all the other ones that are there. So
Which
it's like
which are cheaper. Well, some of them are cheaper
a lot of them are
and
cheaper.
and more comfortable. Because that's what they're saying about the PSVR2 is not as comfortable as the Vive and or the Oculus. So
Yeah,
there you go on that. But it definitely has to do with Sony not wanting to sink the money into it because they're using that money to go ahead and buy Ballistic Moon Studios.
yeah,
Now, although they're a new studio, they're a support studio. They've worked with Sony. They don't have really many games. They don't have any games out, if I'm not mistaken, that they've made themselves. But Sony just absorbed them basically,
right.
and it begs to differ because there a lot of fanboys are always talking about how, oh, well, why does Xbox have to cheat and buy studios? Why can't they just have organic growth? And then Sony goes and buys a studio, and they're like, oh yeah, this is great.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like it's very hypocritical.
it's hypocritical, and I think it's more of just like Sony's buying these little studios and then using them to like grow or whatever, and they, for whatever reason, they want Xbox to play by those rules. And it's like, why does Xbox have to play by Sony's rules? Like they should just play by their own rules and do what it takes to get the market share back, because they lost it for the past 2 generations. So it's like,
Yeah.
why do they have to play this game that Sony created? No, let them play their own game.
I mean, Sony's been on top for a while. They have had their time at the top, and they've made and set the rules for, it seems like, the whole world when it comes to the gaming world.
Right.
And if you don't follow their gaming rules and the way they do it, it's just wrong. It's absolutely wrong.
What
You
I
can't
don't
do
want
anything different.
Yeah, what I don't get though is that like they're not even in first place. That's a Nintendo. Why can't we play by Nintendo's rules? Huh?
Let's not go there.
Yeah,
No.
that's what I'm saying. Like, why is the Sony the standard bearer? Why can't Nintendo be the one that everybody says they should model? No, because they don't want to acknowledge that Nintendo is first place.
Yeah. I mean, what can we do? People will have their preference, and that's perfectly fine. But the technology and the market is changing, so we need to go along with it. And I think that's where Microsoft comes in. They can see that the market's changing. They're trying to make the investments in the proper areas, particularly with cloud, and they're trying to get into the mobile market with ABK. So
Okay.
they see the future and they're trying to get there. But Sony's like, no, we want to stay where we are. So let's just play by my rules. And I think a lot of people want to, are siding with them. And I just hope that in particular with the ABK deal, it goes through so that way we can move past that. Because if we can get past this, maybe it will force Sony to start innovating more and start innovating better, because it just will breed more competition. It'll be better for us, the consumers.
Exactly. More competition, and that goes back to the whole article that we were talking about. Like, you don't want one company running the entire gaming landscape. You do not want that. Whether it's Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, you don't want it to be a monopoly. That would be a real monopoly. People tend to throw that word around. You don't want that. If Sony owns Microsoft, I might as well quit gaming, because that's going to be a shit show.
Yeah, and the same thing the other way around. If Microsoft owns Sony, it will
Yeah.
be shit.
Exactly. You want them to fight for us, the consumer. As a consumer, you want more competition, because that's where we benefit.
Exactly. Yeah, we can see that in every day between Apple and Android.
Yeah.
There's not much competition out there. It's just the two. Why not introduce somebody else? We have Google and we have, iOS. Why not introduce something where Microsoft can thrive in it? And that's what I think ABK is about, thriving in the mobile market where they failed before. So I think we need to rethink, not just as consumers, but as gamers ourselves. We need to rethink as a whole, where we're going with the future. Because I don't want to be complacent and just keep buying a PS5 or an Xbox. I want something better, something that's going to be future proof, and I think cloud gaming can do that.
It's getting there, honestly. Like I do the Microsoft rewards, and a lot of for a lot of the stuff is I use cloud gaming for it, and
Yeah,
there'd be times where I don't even know, I can't even tell. That's how good it's gotten, and it's only gonna improve more.
definitely. Definitely. So we got do you have any questions you want to bring up?
So I had this question before for last week, but we never got to it because we just got swamped with news and stuff like that. But
Yes.
I wanted to talk about games that you turned around on. So when I came up with this last week, I wanted to talk about Hogwarts Legacy because, as you know, I was very, very skeptical about it leading up to it, and I could not see it being something that I want to play. And granted, I do like the Harry Potter universe. I like that whole like wizard and fantasy stuff like that. It's very appealing to me. I like the movies. I read 2 books, but I'm not a big reader. So
Wow.
I know. So yeah, like I admit that I turned around on that game. And I wanted to know, like, has there ever been a game like that where, like, you were kind of skeptical on, you weren't sure if you were gonna like it, and then once you tried it, it just clicked, and you were like, wow, I'm actually surprised.
Of course, there's always several games like that. For me, it had to have been the Sniper Elite series.
Really?
Yes, because I saw it and I thought, it was gonna be trash. Honestly, the only appealing part about it was killing Nazis. But I was watching it from way back when the first one released up until some of the newer ones that are released day one on Game Pass. I just thought, man, this kind of cheesy. You're just going around, you're one man with a sniper. That's not that big of a deal. It's like whatever. But then here I come and trying it out, and it was a really good game. I actually liked it, enjoyed it. The story, the things you could do is not just a sniper you have. It's a well-rounded game overall, and that really turned me around. I was like, man, I really like this.
Yeah,
So I went from literally not thinking it was gonna be trash to absolutely playing it day one every time it released.
yeah. No, I've played Sniper Elite, and I haven't played enough of it to really kind of gauge. I've only played it for, like I said before, the Microsoft rewards thing, and I tried. It says I get like 2 kills, silenced or whatever. So I only played
Okay.
that first area. I never really like dove into it more, but it's I do feel the same way though. Like I didn't feel like it was gonna be trash, but I was just like, I'm not really interested. But
No, I
maybe
saw it was gonna be
I could
trash.
turn. You thought it was gonna be trash?
I thought it was gonna be trash. Not gonna lie, I'm gonna be honest. That's what I said. I really thought it was gonna be trash. And it turned out to be great. The Sniper Elite series is a great series.
Yeah. No. So there was another game that actually that happened to me. So I'm not a fan of roguelikes. I don't like the whole, at least most of them. I don't like the whole like going through and then dying and then coming back, going through again, losing everything, coming back,
Yeah.
like the constant repetition. I don't know, that doesn't really appeal to me. So when Hades came out for on Game Pass, well, it first came out on the Switch, and I was just like, I'm not gonna bother on it, and it was on PC as well.
Yeah.
But then when it came to Game Pass, I was just like, fine, I'll see what all the hype is all about. It got good reviews, but it's just like I didn't like roguelikes. And let me tell
Yes.
you, I got addicted. Like that was one of the very few roguelikes that I was just like, okay, I see what the hype is about. I got it.
Yeah.
And I honestly, I want to buy it because I played it all the way up until it left Game Pass, and I should probably buy it, but knowing my
Not that long of a
backlog,
game. How far did you get into it?
I got up to the second boss. I could not beat what was the name? It was a girl.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. You couldn't beat her? Oh man, I forget her
Because I
name.
know, like, there's like you gotta know. I guess it depends on the run, because you could beat it in like 11, or I can't remember like the terminology. It's been so long since I played it. But yeah, there's ways to go about it where you can optimize it so that way you're not losing so much stuff, and you can get more boosts and upgrades or whatever.
Yeah.
There was one run I got so close. I felt so like good about like all my power-ups and stuff like that, and then I got cocky and I was like, I lost it.
I haven't beaten the game. I made it all the way up to the end, the last boss, and I got destroyed. And then we sent back all the way to the beginning, and I was devastated.
Yeah.
I was like, no, how could this be?
That's one of the reasons why I don't like roguelikes, because you can get so far and then you just got to start all over.
Yeah.
But
it
yeah.
was a good game.
No, it is a good game.
I saw up to the end, and then after that, what happened was, because I made it to the last boss, and I got my ass handed to me, and then I was so upset. I went and watched the ending. You know, after that boss,
I was right there.
I was like right there. So I was like, I'm not gonna, stress myself out and continue on. So let me just go watch the ending. And after that, I felt like I was satisfied. Because I'll tell you, you don't know how close I was. The last boss had like a slither of health, and I died. And I started all over, and I was like, you know what? I'm done. Let's go to YouTube.
No, I've had those moments, especially in like games like Elden Ring or the Dark Souls games. Like I've had plenty of those moments where I was just like, you know what? I'm done for today. I need to put it down, take a break for like a week.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so that'll do it for us. If you want to talk to us and follow our stuff, it's on the screen, or you can look in the description. Brother, it's Brother Matt, right?
Brother Matt.
Yeah, he's been doing a very good job with the socials. Honestly, like I've said it before, like he's been posting stuff that I'm finding out just from him, and I'm like, hey, I didn't hear about this. But no, he's doing a great job. So check out our socials for that. Yeah, then thank you for listening. We'll see you next week. See ya.
Laters.